So, first, what is atheism? Atheism can be defined as disbelief or lack of a belief in a god or gods. Atheism is not the counterclaim that God does not exist. I repeat, atheism is defined as disbelief or lack of a belief in a god or gods. Atheism is not the counterclaim that there are no gods. Misconceptions about atheism. So the first misconception about atheism is that atheists have no morals. And I don't know why people think that, but we're gonna expose the idiocy of people's beliefs in this episode. That's the first false belief about atheists or atheism in general, is that atheists have no morals. The second most common misconception about atheists is that atheism is the assertion that God does not exist, which is not necessarily true. There is a subset of atheists that do claim that God does not exist, but the key word in that statement is subset. Atheists, as a broad sense, don't make that claim. And the third misconception about atheists is that atheists worship the devil. I don't know why people think that, but I admit it was a point in time in my life where I thought the same thing. I mean, I was like 12. But we got grown people walking around and still think that atheists worship the devil. So we're going to expose these misconceptions today and educate anybody who may be misconceived. Misconception number 1. Atheists have no morals. All right. So a study from the Pew Religious Landscape reported that as of 2014, 22.8% of the U.S. population is religiously unaffiliated. Atheists made up 3.1% and agnostics made up 4% of the U.S. population. That's out of everyone in the United States, according to the 2014 census. The 2014 General Social Survey reported that 21% of Americans had no religion, with only 3% reporting being atheist and only 5% claiming to be agnostic. So according to the 2013 census completed by the Bureau of Justice Statistics, the estimated number of inmates in the U.S. prison system was 1.5 million people. Of these people, less than 1%, about 0.7% of the inmates identified as atheists. I repeat, of all the people in prison in the United States, 0.7%, less than 1% are atheists. So how the fuck is there this belief that atheists have no morals when the prisons are filled with believers and the population suggests that there should be at least 3% of atheists in the prison system, because there's 3% of atheists, and there should be at least 5% of agnostic in the prison system because there's a 5% agnostic population, but there's only a 0.7 atheist percent population in the prison system. So I want everybody that thought that atheists had no morals to use your cognitive dissonance to explain to me how that is the case. How can the prisons be full of 99.3% believers, but you believe that atheists have no morals? Misconception number 2. Atheism is the assertion that God does not exist, which, as I stated before, is not necessarily true. Not necessarily. There are subsets of atheism. So if you are new to the idea of atheism, let me school you on it right quick. There's basically 3 types of atheists. You got soft, or also called weak atheism. Then there's hard, or also called strong atheism. And then there's anti-theism. And we're going to get into each one of these. And oh yeah, this is a audience viewer participation show. So we're going to post the link at some point and y'all will be able to chime in. So if you want to ask me any questions, you don't got to just put them in the live chat. You can actually have a real-time conversation. So let's get into these misconceptions. Okay. So since you believe that atheism is the assertion that God does not exist, and that's not necessarily true, and I'll explain to you why right now. So there is what we call a soft, or also called a weak atheist. And a weak atheist is defined as someone who simply is not convinced that God exists. And then there is a strong, also called a hard atheist. And a hard atheist is defined as someone who is convinced that God does not exist. So can you see the difference? Can you see the difference between soft and hard atheists? A soft atheist is not convinced, while a hard atheist is convinced of the contrary. So the claim that all atheists believe that God does not exist is not necessarily true, because there are a subset of atheists called soft atheists who are simply not convinced. That doesn't mean they're convinced of the contrary. For example, if I were to tell you that I just got a pet lion, you might say, well, I don't necessarily believe that, because that's a wild animal that most people don't keep as pets, but I know some people do. But you don't seem like a person that would keep a pet lion, so I don't believe that. And then I say, well, are you saying that I don't? And they're saying, well, no, I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying I need to see some evidence. So that's basically a soft atheist. A hard atheist is convinced that God does not exist, however. And then there's the anti-theist. The anti-theist is convinced that God doesn't exist and also is opposed to belief in God. So an anti-theist is in direct opposition to a theist, while an atheist is simply not convinced. All right. Misconception number 3. Atheists worship the devil. Now, this is really ridiculous. We don't got to get into why this is ridiculous. Atheists don't believe in the devil. They don't believe in God. So how the hell can you believe in the devil? You know, that's like saying atheists worship Santa Claus. No, they don't believe in anything that does not exist or that hasn't been demonstrated to exist. So atheists don't worship the devil. Even Satanists. Satanists and atheists, first of all, they're not the same. All right, Satanism is a religion. Atheism is not. Atheism is the negation of religion. Satanism is a parody religion that mocks Christianity. Like, y'all know that the pop dude, Lil Nas X, who makes the videos mocking Christianity, he made the shoes, the devil shoes and all that. He don't really believe in the devil. He's just trying to piss Christians off because Christians have persecuted his community. And that's the same thing that Satanists do. They're mostly ex-Christians who are mad at Christianity, and they're just mocking Christians by trying to piss them off by worshiping the devil or pretending to worship the devil. At least that's the Satanists that I have met. I haven't met anybody that actually believes that Satan is real. And again, Satanism and atheism, they're not the same thing. All right, there's two completely different things. So then we got anti-theism. What is anti-theism? Anti-theist is someone who is opposed to belief in the existence of God. Not the same thing as an atheist. An atheist is not convinced that God exists, while an anti-theist is opposed to the belief in God. An anti-theist will tell you that you shouldn't believe in God. All right, you see the difference. Someone who is in opposition to theism. All right, so now it's time to get some viewer participation in here. So look in the live chat, get ready to answer, because I want you to answer yes or no for me. Is there a difference between these sentences? I don't believe leprechauns exist, and I believe leprechauns don't exist. Post your answers in the live chat, and let's see what you guys come up with. Is there a difference between these two sentences, or are they saying the exact same thing? One says, I don't believe leprechauns exist. The other says, I believe leprechauns don't exist. Yes or no? Is there a difference? Somebody holler at me. Let me know in the live chat. Yes or no? Is there a difference between those two sentences? I don't believe leprechauns exist, and I believe leprechauns don't exist. Nobody knows. Apparently. Yes or no? Yes or no? I'll even take a wild guess. Is there a difference between these two sentences? Somebody jump out there now. I'm not gonna embarrass you. Put your answer in the live chat. Yes or no? Is there a difference between these sentences? I don't believe leprechauns exist, and I believe leprechauns don't exist. While y'all try to figure that out, let me see if I can't get this reverse collection plate started. All right, I don't see no entries in the reverse collection plate. Y'all must not want, y'all don't want the free money. I can't make you get it. You can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink. Shout out to Omega Dread. Shout out to Steve the Theorist. I appreciate y'all stopping through. All right, so either I got the slowest live chat in the world, or y'all just don't want to participate. Which one is it? Is there a difference between these two sentences? If you think that there's a difference between these sentences, if somehow in your mind you think there's a difference between these two sentences, then you can clearly see the difference between atheism and anti-theism. Bravo. Bravo. Sentence 1 says, I don't believe leprechauns exist. Sentence 2 says, I believe leprechauns don't exist. In sentence 1, the speaker is simply not convinced. In sentence 2, the speaker is convinced of the opposite claim, that leprechauns exist. He's convinced that they don't. All right, so there's a difference. In the same way, there's a difference between an atheist and an anti-theist. So consider the following scenario. Three people trapped on a deserted island. A thief, now, they're all trapped on the island together. The theist says, there's a rescue crew on the way. I believe it. They're coming right now. Let's party in celebration. The atheist says, man, we all trapped on this island. I don't see how you can know what's on the way. So I don't believe you. I'm not saying that you're not correct, but we should assume that there's not a rescue crew on the way and act as if there's not a rescue crew on the way, just in case there isn't. An anti-theist says, well, I'm certain that the first guy's wrong, and there's definitely not a rescue crew on the way. Do you see the difference? The theist either believes, meaning he accepts that there are a God or gods, that there is a God or God. and makes the assumption that there are none. While an anti-theist actively believes that there are no gods. So, where do agnostics fit into all this? We went over atheists, theists, and anti-theists. Where do agnostics fit in this scenario? Let's find out. Agnosticism. Agnostic is not an alternative to the previous three positions. All right, I repeat. Agnosticism is not an alternative to any of the previous three positions. All right? More that over. Agnosticism is not an alternative to any of the previous three positions. The agnostic in this scenario would say simply, there is no way of knowing. All right? This does not tell you anything about what the person believes or assumes. Do you get that? Dramatic pause. However, there are many people who claim to be agnostics, and these people assert that it is impossible for human beings to know anything about how the universe was created and whether or not divine beings exist. So, people, if one were to ask, do you believe in God? And you reply, I'm agnostic. You have not answered the question. I repeat, if one were to ask you, do you believe in God? And you reply, I'm agnostic, you have not answered the question. Agnosticism does not refer to what you believe. It refers to what can be known. Okay? So, as I always state, I don't just talk shit, I always back it up. So let's back up what I'm saying. Let's look at the etymology of the word agnostic. The word agnosticism comes from the Greeks. So all of you people who say that you're not atheist because the word atheist comes from the Greeks, where the fuck you think the word agnostic come from? All right, so stop using that as an excuse not to be an atheist. And as I stated before, agnosticism does not answer questions about beliefs. So the root word, being gnostic, means known in Greek. All right, from the Greek word nostos. The prefix a means not. All right, so agnostic means not known. All right. So what are some misconceptions about agnosticism? The first and the most common misconception about agnosticism is that agnosticism is the middle point between theism and atheism. It is not. I repeat, agnosticism is not the middle point between theism and atheism. Agnosticism only addresses what can be known. It does not address what one believes. And a side note, atheism is actually the middle point between theism and anti-theism, while agnosticism is on a completely different tier. One tier, you have knowledge. On the other tier, you have belief. So if somebody asks you what you believe, agnosticism does not play into that. If someone asks you what you know, theism does not play into that. All right. Gnosticism refers to what you know. Theism refers to what you believe. They're not on the same playing field and they're not mutually exclusive. So I got some questions for you. At this very moment, do you believe that there is a God? Are you actively convinced that there is a God? And go ahead and put your answer in the live chat, yes or no. Do you believe that there is a God? Do you believe that there is a God? Yes or no? At this moment, are you convinced? Are you actively convinced that God exists? And I just put a poll in the chat so you can hit that poll if you don't want to type. Let's see what y'all come up with. What the if there is a consensus or not. So far, looks like got 100% no. Y'all don't believe in God. Nobody believes in God at this moment. At least not that wants to speak up in the chat. Still 100% no. Okay. So at this moment, you don't believe in God. So now I got another question for you. What is the definition of an atheist? You go ahead, feel free to look it up. We already told y'all. So if this was school, this right here would be pop quiz. What's the definition of an atheist? Because I already told you in the beginning of the episode. What's the definition of an atheist? So looks like 100% of the people who responded don't believe in the God. Now we're going to look at the definition of an atheist. All right. And there's a method to my madness, so just rock with me. Answer the question first, and then after you answer the question sincerely and honestly, then I want you to look up the definition of an atheist. Let's keep it rolling. If you label yourself as an agnostic, what you are really saying is that you lack a belief in God, which makes you an atheist. All right. So all y'all people out there that loves to say, I'm an agnostic, as if you somehow high and mighty above the atheist, you fit in the same category as an atheist by definition. And I will read the definition just in case you're too lazy to look it up. Atheist is a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of God. So according to this poll, of the people that responded, 100% of you are atheists, whether you identify as one or not. So why do so many people choose agnosticism over atheism? Good question. Why do so many people choose agnosticism over atheism? The answer is simple, people. Two reasons. Either for fear of social backlash from believers, or they still have a repressed belief in this evil God. And they're afraid that if they admit that they don't believe in their God, that when they die, they'll be punished for it. So if you claim to be an agnostic, you fit into one of those two categories. I'll put my last dollar on it. Either you have a repressed belief in this God character, this evil character that will punish you for not believing, or you are in fear of social backlash from believers. Oh, my family will look at me differently, or my job will look at me differently, or I'm a public figure. I can't get elected if I come out as an atheist. These are the reasons why people choose agnosticism over atheism, not because there's some truth in agnosticism or because you actually believe that we can't know anything about the universe, but because you are afraid. Also, many people mistake atheism for anti-theism all the time. Many people mistake atheism for anti-theism, and we already went over the difference between the two. And therefore, view atheism as a somewhat closed-minded position, often asking, you don't know everything about the universe, so why be an atheist? When really, the agnostic should be asking, why be an anti-theist? Because an atheist doesn't necessarily make the counterclaim that God does not exist. An atheist is simply one who does not believe or is not convinced. An anti-theist does make the positive claim. So all you agnostics, welcome to atheism. Well, you were already an atheist, you just didn't know. I had to go through this too. When somebody schooled me on the difference between atheist and agnostic and theist, I had to realize, damn, I've been an atheist for years. I just wasn't calling myself an atheist. And after I decided that I didn't give a fuck about somebody who believes in an imaginary sky daddy or social backlash, they the ones who should be afraid of social backlash because they believe in the imaginary shit. I negate belief in the imaginary shit, so I had nothing to be ashamed of, and that's why I call myself an atheist, and that's why I make sure I put it in the name of my show, because there's nothing to be ashamed of, and there's nothing wrong with being an atheist, as we illustrated in this episode. So the difference between atheist and agnostic, okay, or we already went over the difference. I'm sorry. What is the similarities between the atheist and an agnostic? What do they have in common? Well, both lack a belief in a God. All right, we know that now. Both lack a belief in a God. Agnosticism refers to what is known, while atheism refers to what is believed. So if I ask, do you believe in a God? Is that the same as asking, do you know there is a God? Well, is it? Because I can ask you, do you believe your wife is faithful, or do you believe your husband is faithful? And then I can ask, do you know your wife is faithful, or do you know your husband is faithful? Do you see the difference between those two questions? They're not the same question. They're on two different tiers, just like agnosticism and atheism are on two different tiers. So when one asks, do you believe in God? It is not the same as when one asks, do you know that there is a God, or do you think that it can be known that there is a God? All right. Example. Is there a teapot orbiting Mars? Go ahead and answer in the live chat. Is there a teapot orbiting Mars? A is yes, I'm certain. B is I don't believe so. C, no way, Jose. Vote now. Vote. A, B, or C. I want to see how y'all think. Is there a teapot orbiting Mars? A, B, or C? A is I'm certain. B is I don't believe so. C is no way, Jose. Ultimate truth. Stop arguing with Steve the Theorist and answer my question. Is there a teapot orbiting Mars? All right, we got some answers. J, Evo RX. I do not know how to pronounce your name, bro. That's why I just call you J. J says B. Fizzy Heart 24 says B. DSA 1, shout out to you, my boy, says B. Black Hayes says C. Oh, now it's getting interesting. Now we got some people that disagree. All right. Omega Dread says C. All right. And Jay provided some rationalization to his answer B, because he said, because how the hell would I know? Yeah, how would I know? Because, all right, to your point, Jay, somebody like, what's the nigga name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. The nigga who just went to space last week. Richard Branson, billionaire, Richard Branson. How we know one of these, Richard Branson or Elon Musk or goddamn Jeff Bezos or something, didn't put a teapot around? We don't know. So let's check it out. If you said A in this scenario about the teapot orbiting Mars, you would be considered a theist. If you said B, I don't believe so, you would be considered an atheist. If you said C, no way, Jose, you would be considered an anti-theist in this scenario. Now, which one of these most closely resembles the agnostic position? A, B, or C? Which one most closely resembles the agnostic position? Go ahead and answer in the chat. Is it the theist, the atheist, or the anti-theist? Which one most closely resembles the agnostic position? Theist, atheist, or anti-theist? The theist says, yes, there's a teapot orbiting Mars. The atheist says, I don't believe so. The anti-theist says, no way, Jose. Which one of these sounds like an agnostic position? All right. Busy Heart 24 says B. Mhm. Black Hayes says, in this example, it's the atheist. That would be B. Okay. Let's see. In this scenario, the atheist most closely resembles the agnostic position. Why? Because both the agnostic and the atheist lack a belief that the claim is true. However, neither has made the opposing claim. They simply don't believe it. Is there a teapot orbiting Mars? Theist says yes. Atheist says I don't believe so. Anti-theist says no way, Jose. And agnostic says there's no way we can know. There's no way we could know. So the agnostic most closely, in this scenario, most closely resembles the atheist. And I use this analogy because we can replace the teapot orbiting Mars for does God exist? If you answer yes, you would be a theist. If you say I don't really believe so, you're an atheist. If you say no way, Jose, you're an anti-theist. And if you say there's no way of knowing, then you're an agnostic, which falls under the atheist category. Welcome to atheism. All right, let's go to another example. Do you believe that there is a teapot orbiting Mars? Uh-oh. She just got tricky. Do you see the difference between this question and the last question? You can jump back so you can see. All right. Last question I asked, is there a teapot orbiting Mars? And example number 2, the question has changed slightly. Now the question reads, do you believe that there is a teapot orbiting Mars? A theist replies, yes, I'm certain. An atheist replies, no, I don't believe that. An anti-theist replies, no, and I'm certain. Guess who looks stupid as fuck when trying to answer this question? Wait. Guess who looks stupid as fuck when trying to answer the question about belief? You guessed it. The agnostic. The agnostic replies, haha. The agnostic replies, I don't know. I asked, do you believe that there's a teapot orbiting Mars? And an agnostic replies, I don't know. How do you not know what you believe? I'm asking you about your belief. See, first I was asking you about a fact. I asked you, is there a teapot orbiting Mars? Now I'm asking you about what you believe. You cannot reply, you don't know. That is not an answer to my question. When I ask, do you believe? You know if you believe or not. I hope you know. If not, we're going to put you in one of them jackets and put you in one of them padded rooms because you, my friend, are crazy. You know what you believe or not. Agnosticism is not a response to the do you believe question. So let's break it down just in case I lost some people on the way. Just in case y'all confused. Let me give y'all a little breakdown. Okay. So we have a theist, an atheist, and an anti-theist. The theist is a believer. So obviously the theist believes. The atheist does not believe. That's why atheism is synonymous with non-believer. Sometimes you hear people call themselves that, non-believer, because it softens the blow to the believers because they are in fear of social backlash as well. So instead of calling themselves atheists, they call themselves non-believers. But it's the same thing. Non-belief. The anti-theist is opposed to belief. Okay? So how does agnosticism fit into this? I already explained to you that if you claim to be an agnostic, you might be an atheist. That's because agnosticism doesn't refer to what you believe rather than what you know or what you claim can be known. You can be an agnostic atheist, or you can be a Gnostic atheist. You can be an agnostic theist, or you can be a Gnostic theist. Saying you're agnostic is like saying you're a fast. A fast what? A fast runner, a fast swimmer. I don't know what you're fast at because you stopped at fast. All right? So a Gnostic theist is one who believes and claims to know that there is a God. An agnostic theist is one who believes but does not claim to know that there is a God. For example, if I said, is your wife faithful? And you said, I believe so, but I ain't with her 24 hours a day. So, you know what I mean? I really don't know. I think she is, though. Then you would be an agnostic. You would be an agnostic believer about your wife's faithfulness. If I said, is your wife faithful? And you said, I believe she is, and I know it for a fact, even though I'm not with her 24 hours a day, I know she ain't gonna do nothing like that. Then you would be Gnostic about your wife's faithfulness. You see how one can be agnostic and Gnostic while being a believer. And it works the same way with non-belief. A Gnostic atheist doesn't believe and claims to know that there is no God, while an agnostic atheist doesn't believe but does not claim to know. All right? So it's the complete opposite of what I just explained. It's just the difference between an agnostic atheist and a Gnostic atheist is a Gnostic atheist claims to know. So what is an anti-theist? Well, an anti-theist is the same thing as a Gnostic atheist. They both claim to know that God does not exist. The difference is an anti-theist, in addition to claiming that there is no God, the anti-theist is in direct opposition to belief and will tell you that you shouldn't believe. So in conclusion, an agnostic who does not want to be called an atheist is equivalent to a lesbian who does not want to be called a homosexual. I'm gonna say it again so it can sink in. For all you people that go around calling yourself agnostic, an agnostic who does not want to be called an atheist is equivalent to a lesbian who does not want to be called a homosexual. Why? Because an atheist and an agnostic both have the same ideology. For the most part, they both live the same lifestyle, but y'all want different labels. So if you know a woman that's going around eating pussy, but she don't want you to call her a homosexual, what would you think about her mental state? For all of you people who don't believe in a God, but you don't want to call yourself an atheist, guess what I think about your mental state? I already told you. Either you are in fear of social backlash, or you have some repressed belief in this evil God that will punish you for not believing. Which one is it? I don't know, but I guarantee you it's one of those. So what did we learn today? We learned that both atheists and agnostics lack a belief in a God. All right. We also learned that I don't know is not a proper response to the what do you believe question. I'm asking you about your belief. I'm not asking you about the fact about the belief. I'm asking you about your belief. Do you believe there's a teapot orbiting Mars right now? Do you think that that is true? It's really a yes or no question. If the answer is no, you're an atheist to the teapot. If you don't believe in God, you're an atheist to God. What else we learned today? Agnosticism is not the midway point between atheism and theism. Agnosticism is on a separate tier. You got theism, you got atheism, and you got anti-theism. Agnosticism is completely separate because it doesn't deal with belief. Rather, it deals with knowledge. Agnostic means I don't know. Atheist means I don't believe. Big difference. So my final question for anyone who still wishes to call themselves an agnostic: do you believe that there is a God? And what is the definition of an atheist? Round two, because we asked the question already, but now that we've gone over some definitions, you might have changed your mind. So I'm asking you, do you actively believe that there is a God? Yes or no? And then look up the definition of atheism. Do that for your boy. And at this time, I'm gonna put the link in the chat just in case anybody decides to join in. If you have any questions, now is your time to join in and ask. If you agree or disagree, we welcome you to join the stream. So come on, all I ask is that you be respectful so I don't have to kick you off of here. I don't tolerate the disrespect, and I don't disrespect nobody, but I do give it as good as I get it. So if you want to ask any questions, add your 2 cents, anything that you want to say, now is the time to do so. So we went over atheism versus agnosticism. I want to ask anybody in the chat if you learned something today, or if you changed your mind about atheism or agnosticism, or if you think I'm full of shit and I don't know what I'm talking about. Any one of those, let me know. Which one is it?
Any questions? I bring many blessings.
I don't care what he smokes. I don't care how much he smokes. He ain't never gonna be the most high, okay? So
all right. I appreciate you for tuning in and joining the stream, Black Haze. Now, you said you were a little confused. Do you have a question about the topic?
Yeah, so how are you, like, in what context are you using knowledge? Like, how are you defining it? Like, what separates the two, belief from knowledge?
It's, I guess the best way would be for me to give you an analogy. The best way for me to explain it is like if I asked you if your wife is faithful, and then I asked you, do you believe that your wife is faithful? So if I ask you on one hand, do you know if your wife is faithful? And on the other hand, I ask you, do you believe that your wife is faithful? Your belief is what it is, and it can be not based on anything, or it can be loosely based on anecdotal evidence. For example, you could say, well, my wife is a good woman and she gives to the homeless people, and her personality type just doesn't seem like the type that would be unfaithful. So I believe that my wife is faithful, but you don't know that. You see, so to know that, you would have to basically have eyes on your wife 24 hours a day, or some type of way of checking that she is not being unfaithful to you, unless you're with her all the time. So that's the difference between knowledge and belief. And it works the same way when you ask the God question. So if I ask you, do you know that there is a God? That's different than if I ask you, do you believe that there is a God? Because if I ask you, do you believe that there's a God? You can give me a yes or no, or you might give me a whole paragraph, and then I would have to accept your answer. But if I ask you if you know there's a God and you tell me yes, well, now I can ask for your proof, because you said you claim knowledge, you didn't claim belief. So does that help you a lot? Or
so would you say that like knowledge kind of means like certainty, or in a way, like I can never really know for sure if my wife is being faithful because I don't have like my eyes on her at all times. So exactly. I have to believe it. Okay.
Exactly. So knowledge, if you claim to know something, you're claiming certainty, which at the point of claiming certainty, if you know something had to get you to that point. So me as a non-believer, the only logical next step for me is to ask you for that thing that got you to that knowledge. So if you say you know there's a God, I'm going to say present the evidence that convinced you, and then that way I can know. But if you say you believe there's a God, then that's just your belief. And mostly people who believe in God, they resort to faith. But if you say you know there's a God, well, you can't know there's a God based on faith. You have to know in a way that can be demonstrable, because you claimed certainty. And that's the difference between an agnostic and an atheist. An agnostic is claiming that they don't know, or they don't think it can be known, while an atheist is claiming they don't believe. Well, both are lacking of belief. So what I'm presenting tonight is that those who call themselves agnostic are actually atheists who didn't know they were agnostic because they weren't familiar with these definitions, or they are in fear of some social backlash, or they have these repressed beliefs in this God character. So now let me ask you, what do you believe, or how do you identify?
I would identify as an agnostic. That's how.
Why don't you call yourself an atheist?
Well, because the way you define atheism is like, I guess, the lack of belief. I guess I would fall under that, but I just don't see knowledge meaning certainty. I see it more as like because I think you can have knowledge of something and not be certain of it, right? Like, I have knowledge of the world, but I'm not certain if the world is actually real. I could be hallucinating. I could be living in a matrix. So
I guess that depends on your definition of the word real. Because what do you mean when you say actually real? I'm not
talking about
understanding.
I'm talking about things that can comport to reality. So like, I guess let's just say that we're all physicalists. We'll say that everything that we see, touch, and smell, whatever, is all real. And what I'm saying is that we all got knowledge of it, though, but it could be a possibility where, I don't know, we could be in some kind of matrix, believing that what we see is real. So what I'm saying is that I'm not really convinced that knowledge means certainty. I think that is because when I think about it, I'm saying to myself, like, wouldn't that only mean that we can only know two things? Like, I can only know if I'm in pain or I'm happy. I can know that for certain. Or I can know, like, mathematical truth, 2 + 2 = 4. But everything else, I couldn't really have knowledge of. I couldn't even have knowledge I'm having this conversation because I could be hallucinating right now. I could be, like, living in the matrix, thinking that we haven't.
You could. But to your point, well, two things. First of all, and this is kind of off topic, but I just get it out there real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't necessarily believe that this whole, if this is a simulation or a matrix,
right? I
don't think that that makes the universe not real, because if I stump my toe on the edge of a dresser, it's really gonna hurt. So it doesn't matter if it's computer numbers and generated. I actually experience it. I can't put my foot through it. In all usage of the reality that we find ourselves in, it behaves as if it is real. So even if it's not real, we should treat it as if it is, because that's the way it behaves in real things happen. Like I said, like if I shoot someone, they're really gonna die. They're not gonna metaphorically die or simulation die. Like, we have real consequences to our actions, so we should treat the universe as it presents itself, as is real. But also, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that knowledge doesn't claim certainty, because if you say you know something to a degree, yeah, I get what you're saying. You say, okay, I know this, but that doesn't mean you know 100% for a fact that thing is true. When we say knowledge, most of the time, us humans, when we say we know something, what we're really saying is, I believe this a lot. I believe this to a degree so strong that to find out that it wasn't true would alter my whole worldview. That's what we mean when we say we know something. So yeah, to your point, we can't really actually know something to 100% degree, but if we can know it to a point that is usually true, like 2 + 2 = 4, we haven't found any instances where we can add 2 of anything to 2 the same thing and get not 4. So we know 2 + 2 = 4 to the extent that we can know something. And likewise, I think we know certain things about the universe. So to the atheism, theism, or atheism, anti-theism, to that point, you might fall into any of the 3 categories depending on what God you're talking about. So the answer changes. So me personally, yes, the name of this show is the Atheist Church Live, but depending on what God you're talking about, I may be considered an anti-theist. So if you define God as this lighter that I'm holding up, and I guess you can see it on the screen if you're watching. If you define God as this lighter, then I'm a theist because I believe in this lighter. So I will believe in this God. But if you define God as the God of the Bible, who has properties that are incompatible and can't exist at the same time. For example, you can't be all knowing and giving out free will. So that negates that. That's a paradox that this God can't be both of those things. So I don't believe in that God. So to that God, I would be an anti-theist. Now, if you define God as some loose deistic God that farted and the universe came out and then he just backed up and let everything happen. Well, I wasn't there when the universe formed, so I don't know if a God farted and that's where the universe came from. So I would be an atheist to that God. I just simply don't know. Now, if you ask me, did I think we can know? That's when agnosticism comes into play. So people such as yourself, I think y'all are using the word incorrectly. So you're using agnostic as a label for yourself. So when someone asks you, how do you identify? Like I asked you, how do you identify? You say you're agnostic. That's not a complete sentence. I'm gonna say agnostic what? An agnostic theist or an agnostic atheist? So agnostic refers to what you think can be known. So you think we can't know anything, but I'm asking you, what do you believe?
I think there's degrees of agnosticism too. Like you got like hard agnosticism who'll say, I don't know there's a God or isn't a God, but I think it's impossible for anyone to know. But then you got soft agnosticism who will say, well, I don't know if God exists or not, but it may be possible for some people to know. So it is degrees to it. I'm not like a hard agnosticist in saying that like nobody can really know, because that's something that I don't know. Like I don't know if people can know for sure. But the reason why I would say I think agnosticism is a good position for me is because when I think about it, yes, you are right in the sense that I have a lack of belief in the sense that I don't hold to a God. Right. But I also have a lack of disbelief too, in a way, because I wouldn't say I believe that, there isn't. I have a lack of belief, but I also would say that I have a lack of disbelief because, I don't know. I don't know if God doesn't exist. I don't know if God does exist. So I think it's just the
lack of belief is necessarily disbelief. So like is it possible to have a lack of disbelief? A lack of disbelief is belief. So it's no middle point. It's like
so a lack of disbelief is a belief, but a lack of belief isn't a belief.
I'm saying if you lack disbelief, then that means you have belief. If you lack belief, then that means you have disbelief.
Right. So you're like a lack of belief I have no belief in anything, right? Right. So I'm not actively
not in anything in the topic at hand. So it depends on what the question is.
Right. What I'm trying to say is that when I say I have a lack of belief in God, I'm acknowledging that I have no belief in the existence of a God, that there is a God that exists. But I can also have a lack of belief in the proposition that God doesn't exist as well, right? Like I can also say, well, I also don't believe in a proposition.
Well, yeah. That's a lack of a belief, and there's two lack of a belief. So you have a lack of belief in two claims. You have a lack of belief in the claim that there is a God, and you have a lack of belief in the claim that there is not a God, which would, by definition, make you an atheist, because atheist is, by definition, someone who lacks a belief in a God.
All right, so an anti-theist, right? How did you define that as?
Anti-theist is one who is opposed to belief in a God. So an anti-theist is basically a Gnostic atheist who, in addition to claiming that God does not exist, they also believe that you should not believe that God does exist. So, like I stated earlier about the gods that have logical contradictions. So I would say this God raped and enslaved our ancestors, or this religion raped and enslaved our ancestors. Therefore, you shouldn't believe in this God. So I would be acting as an anti-theist at that point. But if I just say I don't believe and leave it at that, that's an atheist.
So anti-theist is someone who opposes the belief in God.
Mm-hmm. But an anti-theist is in direct opposition to a theist.
Right. So what do we call a person who says there is no God, like no God exists at all?
Depending on the person and I guess what they said after that, they would either be considered a Gnostic atheist or an anti-theist.
So it's possible. So if whoever makes that, if they say, okay, there is no God, I claim there is no God, that person is an atheist, even if he's an anti-theist. If he says that, he's an atheist, right?
Right. So you can be both. So just like you can be agnostic and an atheist, you can be an atheist and an anti-theist. It really just depends on what God we're talking about,
right? Okay.
And who you're talking to.
Okay. All right. So I get what you're saying, but I think that only works if knowledge really means certainty, in my opinion.
Right.
But okay, I see what you're saying.
DSA, you on the line? You want to ask Black Hayes something, or you got a comment?
Can y'all hear me?
DSA, can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind, I ain't got nothing to say right now, man. I was gonna chime in a little bit on the Matrix situation, but y'all keep spitting y'all spit.
Oh, you can go ahead, man. You can go ahead. What you got to say about the simulation theory?
I mean, to me, when the Matrix first came out, it blew a lot of people's mind because I think a lot of people really didn't look at reality in such a way.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I would try to, I guess you can call remote view, like try to look outside myself to see myself doing stuff. Like, you know how some people say they can astral project and stuff like that.
Yeah, I tried that a million times.
Yeah, it's like they say at certain levels you got to go through a certain. It's a real long training phase, I guess you could say, before you're actually able to do it. But when the movie The Matrix came out, it really started making people think, like, is this actually a simulation?
Right.
So when it comes down to like what Black Hayes is saying, he don't know if he's in a simulation or not. When you look back at the movie, when Morpheus talked to Neo didn't know he was in the Matrix. He just knew the dude came out of nowhere and was offering him 2 pills and was showing him what the simulation made him see the world as, until he showed him what the world really was.
Mm-hmm.
So for most people, I say for some people, I'm not gonna say for most, because I look at it as if a lot of people are in religion and the Matrix theory is just a movie. You have some scientists that have tried to come out and prove that this is an actual simulation. And I can go into that, but that's a lot to go into.
They're working on it. I know it's a black guy actually. I can't remember his name, but he's a black scientist and he's using light and lasers to he's doing 2 things. Not only is he trying to invent a time machine to travel into the future, but he's trying to basically prove that the universe is a simulation. He said that he found computer code embedded in the laws of physics.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you have to really be on that level of intellect to find that type of stuff, because most people are not able to think that high ahead. And that dude's probably been doing it since he was like middle school, high school. Taking a
scientists like that, they be nerds their whole life, man. They
exactly. So he probably been looking at this his entire life, and adults like us try to look at it. We ain't got that much time to try to figure all this out.
Robert Pallet, Steve Steer said his name is Robert Pallet. But to your point about the Matrix, though, you remember the scene, right? Where the dude was eating that pink ass steak, and he was trying to go back into the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking to the agents. He made it.
Like, I know it's a steak. I know it tastes like a steak. But I know the Matrix got me thinking this is what a steak is supposed to taste like. So what if this is not actually a steak? When dude was saying that, I know that made a lot of people think.
I'm saying what? Because on that scene, that's the traitor dude. He was going back into the Matrix, right? But on that scene where he was eating that steak,
that was a traitor.
And he was saying basically, I know this is not real, but it tastes real, it looks real, and it's so juicy and succulent. What's the difference? And that's like exactly. That's what I was saying to Black Hayes. Like, even if we are in the simulation, I don't know if we are or not. But if we are in the simulation, I don't see how that changes anything, because everything that we do still have the same consequences, and it feels so real that to treat it as if it was a simulation would be negligent and like grossly
If
inept.
if it was true that we were living in a computer simulation, would that make any of you guys believers? Because it would suggest that reality, what is a
It's
byproduct,
created.
or
Well,
Go ahead, Kweli. I'm gonna jump in after you.
if the universe was a simulation, that would imply to me that there was someone who created the simulation. Yes, but when you say would that make me a believer, as in like the resistance? No, I would just think it was somebody created the simulation, but we would then have to go and find evidence in the nature of this creator, because for all we know, if it were in the simulation, the creator could be a really smart alien kid in his mama's basement who just made a universe. So we don't know anything about this creator. So to call it God is I don't think it's necessary. We can just call it the maker of the simulation, which like they did. I think they did that in the Matrix. They didn't call him God. They called him with the Merovingian. The Merovingian.
Yeah, that's like the second and into the third one, where he started talking to the Oracle and was telling her about it, because she was trying to help wake up a lot of people, but he was like, what does it matter? They're gonna lose anyway. We done killed them like 99 times already, and they still haven't figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
So to what you were saying about the Matrix, it's another movie that plays on the mind as well, Inception.
Oh yeah,
planted the seed of an idea into that person's head, and they locked themselves in their mind and went through a whole entire life, like they went through their lifespan in their head. And when his wife realized, when she came out of it, she couldn't tell the difference. He can tell the difference, but she couldn't tell the difference. So she was like, look, the way I'm gonna figure this out is if I jump off this building and I don't die. And he was trying to tell her, you're in reality, you're not in your head. But she was so thrown off that she couldn't tell it apart. So if it comes down to reality as we speak of it, if this is really it, there will be, I'm not saying I wish this on nobody, but I'm just saying, coming from the wife's perspective, there will be a lot of people that will kill themselves to try to figure it out, to try to wake themselves up out of this dream / the Matrix, to see if it really is what it is. And to piggyback off what you were saying about about trying to see if we believe or not, in that aspect, I would take it the way Kweli said it. If I was to wake up out of this dream, this Matrix, and find out there's an alien being or some extremely intelligent being that created this whole simulation as a game or whatever, a science experiment or what you want to call it, I don't know if I could call the alien being God, for the simple fact that as people, we believe God is all powerful. All powerful mean in a maybe a smaller sense that you can't be killed. Mm-hmm. Or if you take it from the God of War aspect, it takes another being on that level to kill that being. You see what I'm saying?
It completely changes the definition of God. It's like, it's not the same God that y'all been believing in for 2,000 years. It's almost like the game they play with Jesus. They say, oh, Jesus really existed because there was a historical man named Yahshua. Well, that's not the God that's depicted in the Bible. The God that's depicted in the Bible is walking on water and performing miracles and raised from the dead. And this guy, Yahshua, didn't do none of that. So it's just for somebody to say that Jesus existed because Yahshua existed, that's not the same thing. Just like an alien who created a simulation is not the same thing as a God. That's just the alien who created a simulation. And for all we know, if that's the case, if we just in speculation or simulations, how do we know that the universe that we live in is not just some school project from some other universe, and their assignment was, okay, class, I want you all to go create a universe and populate it with 7 billion people on one planet and put a bunch of animals on that planet, and we're going to see who creates the best galaxies and doesn't have any collapsing black holes. Like, how do we know this? We don't know this. So I just don't see the point in going there, because we'll never end that conversation. What if this? What if this? And what if this? And what if this? Let's focus on what we do know. Okay, we know that this universe
Kweli.
presents itself as real. I can't put my hand through these objects, even though I know they're made of atoms, and atoms are mostly empty space. If I knock on this table, it's really gonna make a noise. It's really gonna hurt if I hit it too hard. So why would I pretend as if it's not real and live my life that way? I just don't see the point of going there. It's very interesting to make a movie about, though. We can do that all day. I love The Matrix and Inception, but I don't want to live my life as if the world I live in is fake when I don't have any evidence of that, and it's all just speculation. What if?
So the only thing that we can be certain of is
Yo, and on top of that, another movie that speaks on that too.
Hold on,
I was gonna say one thing right quick.
Hold on, DSA, let Black Hayes get his question in.
No, I was kind of agreeing with you guys. I was saying that, like, if, like, all we could be certain of is the things within our reality. If we are living in a simulation, that I feel pain, love, or if I'm eating a steak, I know I'm eating that. But I guess anything outside of that, we really couldn't be certain of anything.
Well, not to 100% certainty, but I think we can be certain to a degree that makes it useful to the extent of any certainty that we can have. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not certain that I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I might die in my sleep, but I'm not gonna live my life as if this is my last day.
All right.
You know, I don't need absolute certainty. I can be like, kind of sure that I'm healthy enough to wake up tomorrow and live my life like that.
Like the only thing I differ is that I got a weaker like for me, knowledge is just if you could verify it, if it's true and justify, I would consider that to just be knowledge in my opinion.
I mean, that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
But another movie that speak on what you talking about, Kweli, is The First Man in Black. At the very end,
what happened?
At the very end, Kay was telling Jay not to open the not to.
Oh yeah,
that's the second one.
No. You talking about the cat collar?
Yeah, when they panned out past the universe, past everything, you see an alien with a bunch of galaxies in his hand as he playing marbles with it, and he scoop them all up, put them in a bag, and he run off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, these movies are, to me, they telling something that most people just take as a movie. That's why my belief in certain things are the way that they are, because I don't take majority of movies as just movies. I look for things that people wouldn't necessarily accept, like that version of Men in Black. Like, people won't accept that, like, oh, there's an alien playing with the whole galaxy like that. Like, that's not real. I'm just saying, think about it. What if it is real? We don't have the technology to go past, like physically go past the Milky Way, to go past our galaxy and to venture off into other galaxies. So who's to say this is not real? What if there is an alien species that is intelligent enough to reach us and speak to certain people that we can't speak to, like Area 51, for instance? Speak to these people and tell them, like, look, we've been watching y'all since y'all been able to stand upright. We've been helping y'all get to the places that y'all are at now as far as intellect and building things and stuff like that. But they don't tell people because not Christianity, but religion has such a strong hold on people. If people were, let's just take this hypothetical as if it was reality. Just imagine if all the governments on the planet told everybody that, look, there's an extremely intelligent race of beings that live with us, and this is what they got to say. And they literally show us everything that we see in movies. You know how many people will freaking lose it? Like, society would collapse. Dude, society would collapse, because you already see now, just speaking on the atheist experience and trying to talk to Christians about taking a logical stance on a religion. This is, let's just say in this hypothetical world that what I just said actually happens. A group of aliens show up at the UN and be like, look, we here, we've been watching y'all, we've been helping y'all get to where y'all going. Do like some Tony Stark type stuff and show the whole universe, show where they at, and show pretty much everything that we think that cannot be done.
Oh no, man. I think that's it might be true that society might collapse, but I think it's real crazy that that's the case, because that's exactly the scenario that religious people believe is reality. They believe that some beings not from Earth are in cahoots with them and helping them and watching them. They call them angels. and gods and stuff. So for them to actually come to the realization that there are real beings not from Earth that have been in cahoots and helping us, and to somehow, lose it over it, like I think that's a form of cognitive dissonance on the part of the believer. And I just don't see like why they should be embracing that moment if they really believe that. They should be saying, well, maybe these are the angels in the Bible and all that stuff. But I know that the mind of the believer is not a logical mind, so they probably don't link the two, and they just call them aliens, even though angels are by definition aliens too.
Exactly. But the other thing on top of that is, for the people who truly read the Bible and for those who believe in the Bible, if you look up what an angel looked like, the cherubim, and I think the other one's called an archerubim or something like that. One of them has 3 heads, the head of a ram or a goat, a person's head, and the other side is a bull. The other one has the face of a person as well, and 2 other animals. One has 4 wings with a bunch of eyes on it, and the other one has 6 wings with a bunch of eyes on it. Now, if the actual Bible believer, the person that reads their Bible and know their Bible, let's say inside and out, see these alien beings and they don't look like what that Bible said they look like, that's going to mess up a lot of people. And going to the people who believe in the Bible and believe angels look like people with pretty wings and they have naked flying around, or the archangel with body armor on and stuff like that. And you see this alien that look like a person, but his eyes are real big and it's tall or short or transparent or whatever. And it's speaking to you, let's just say telepathically. It's not even talking to you like we're using words in our mouths to talk. It's talking to people telepathically. That's why I was saying it in the aspect of society would collapse, because most of society, if not 90% of it, or even 100%, let's just say that, is built on religion. That will destroy every religious book on the planet, with them coming forth and showing who they are.
Well, here we probably need to get the goddamn aliens then, because that's what I want. I want all the religions to be gone. Maybe I need to go call the aliens.
Dude, that will mentally destroy a lot of people. I'm saying, think about it. That by itself, an alien, or what we consider to be an alien that's highly intelligent, that don't look like nothing of what you spoke of in the Bible. And it would be the kickers if they tell a bunch of the people, like, look, all y'all religions are false. Y'all religions are made up by people.
I mean, they're gonna that day is gonna have to come.
It's gonna have to.
It's coming now, really, because we doing it. The problem is we aren't government officials and we ain't public figures. If we get enough celebrities to come and say, hey, Kweli and Kwame, they right, then maybe people will believe it a little bit more. But this is happening. People are going to church less, and more people are being identified as atheists and agnostics. So it's just a matter of time. Everybody that's like the people listening to this stream, we are just ahead of the times. So just like at one point in time, it was a group of people that was smoking weed when it was illegal, and they were considered to be hippies or whatever. But now the shit's legal, everybody's fucking doing it, and you don't call somebody hippie or whatever just for smoking weed. So one day atheism and agnosticism will be normal. Peace to Kwame, brother. Your camera is not showing right. Well, go ahead and
I see it.
talk.
Yeah, I see it, man. I'm about to drop it. I'm about to just go regular. But yeah, I feel the same way, because religion has became so normalized. Even my girl, man, she don't even, they talk about God, man, but it's like a routine for them. You know what I'm saying? The reason why people do believe it because it's routine now. I mean, because if people actually believe the shit that they actually that's in their Bible, they wouldn't be doing half the shit that they do. But like I said a long time ago in one of the streams, people take no accountability. So what's the point of religion when religion ain't a deterrent to bad shit? Religion has not been a deterrent to shit. So why are we still believing, and why we still believe in this God? You know what I'm saying? There's still rape going on, all this other shit. I would say most people that are religious probably just agnostic or atheists until it's time to believe in God. They're atheists Monday through Saturday. But then on Sunday, they Christians, they Muslims, they Jews. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, what's the point? Shit still happen. Ain't no magical God coming down to clean this shit up. It's gonna take humanity to clean this shit up. You know what I'm saying? With the help of aliens, you know what I'm saying? Like you said.
It ain't gonna be no God though. That's for sure.
It ain't gonna be no magic man in the sky, you know what I'm saying? Them people act like this guy was just handing out books through the damn sky. And that's why they believe this shit. But like I said, they just people are just afraid not to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like my girl, she afraid not to believe. That's why she still believe. I don't even think she never, man, come on, how you gonna believe when you let me hit it last night? You know what I'm saying?
You don't believe that much. See, that's the thing about believers. They pick and choose, especially Christians. I know we pick on the Christians, but y'all Christians pick on y'all beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to believe this part, but y'all don't want to believe that part. You know, it's like I do know some women that held that, I'm not having sex till I'm getting married for a while. You know what I'm saying? But most of them let that shit go after about 21, 22. But goddamn, it's like y'all just pick and choose. Even when I was a believer, I would pick and choose the parts. I'd be like, that's bullshit, that part. But you know what I'm saying? I hadn't been exposed to skepticism and atheism, so I didn't know that was a no-no. But yeah, man, you can't just pick and choose your beliefs. If you believe that book and you say that it's the word of God, then act like the word of God. That's why I always ask the Hebrew Israelites, why are you not getting slaves from the heathens around you? The Bible tells you to do that. Why aren't you doing it? Because you don't really believe that part. You don't believe that part.
not only that, they'll get locked up. And it ain't that many of them.
And they got it, and they got ain't gonna come save them. Just
and
like
the thing about it is,
that lock.
Yo, and it's not enough of them to pull off something like that. Think about it. Just all the sects of the Hebrew Israelites. Let's just say they came together and made an army. It's so in the United States, there are so many people outside of the police and the military that got guns, that know where these people live at. Dude, they not finna risk that. If I got to go to war with you and I can't get you, I'm gonna get your family. Not saying I would do that. I'm just saying thinking on a person in a warlike mindset. If I can't get to you, I know your family ain't fighting like that. Your women and your children ain't built like that. No, you're not finna put them out there to tote guns and explosive devices to carry out this war, and then throw in the police and the military. Come on, dude. They outnumbered a lot. They not finna take that chance. That's why they'll sit up here and say, we waiting on God to come down here and pretty much do the majority, if not all of the work, so we can reap the benefits of it, while at the same time doing some of the most crazy things that most religions do. Beat on your wife and your children, mess around. Then you're supposed to be, like, as far as being a male and the head of the family, you're supposed to be able to get away with that. But on top of that, your own book tells you not to do that, unless, in a sense, God tells you to do that. And then even that, morally speaking, let's just say I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I'm supposed to go out here and kill all these folks, take the virgin women onto myself, like you and Kwame had said. That means I'm taking any female from the, let's say, the age of, I think 13 on up to, let's say, 18 that hasn't been with a man. I'm taking all of them, and I'm killing the ones that have been with men. You know how bad you would decimate a population of women just doing that? Come on, bro, that don't even make sense itself.
You don't. And like you know, and like Kweli said in the stream he posted I guess a couple of days ago, if these niggas can't be that powerful, if they getting their ass kicked by the Babylonians and the Syrians. You know, and the Syrians is a small country. Like, how the fuck a smaller country gonna whoop your ass? Ain't got that many people in there, but they beating y'all ass. You know what I'm saying? So
hey, Kwame.
Yeah.
Hey, Vietnam did it to the United States.
Yeah, they did. Hey, them motherfuckers was, them Viet Congs, yeah. Yeah.
They didn't even have the technology that the United States had.
Which y'all know that, I mean, this is a belief. I gotta full disclosure. This is a belief. I can't prove it, but I believe that some of these wars are not being fought to win. They being fought for profit. You know what I'm saying? Monetary profit.
Hey,
I think that's what's happening with the.
even
Vietnam.
though you don't have the documentation or the actual proof, it has already been said that that's what the majority of wars have been started over, is monetary gain. Even one of the presidents, I'm gonna say the wrong name, I want to say it was either Roosevelt or Nixon or one of those presidents back in the day, even came out and said it, if not him, senator or something,
probably Kennedy or something. But I just look at it logically, because you know what I'm saying. Like, I figured this out in middle school during the war in Afghanistan, when they was talking about, oh, we got to spend billions of dollars on the war. Well, somebody getting that money, right? So if y'all spending it, somebody getting paid. Exactly. Somebody's profiting billions of dollars off of this war. Hello.
And Kwame, I can back up what you were saying at one point when you was over there. One thing that people don't realize is when the United States military go over there and let's just say take out half a village, like not killing the people, but just take out the homes because the Taliban or whoever is using the homes as a shield to fight the military. Do you not know that the United States will send those people thousands of dollars to rebuild?
Damn.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
And I didn't know it until I was in Kuwait and I was talking to some soldiers that told me they was going through a village. They had a tank with them. Taliban doing their thing, busting shot. They took a whole corner of a house off. The United States sent that person money to get his house rebuilt. And they sent him, I'm saying in the aspect of a lot of money, they sent him so much money, he could have took care of the whole village and still lived right for years after that.
Oh, goddamn.
So when you hear the military saying, oh, we got to win the hearts and minds of the people, in a sense, that's what they're doing. If I destroy your stuff, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to try to get you to be on my side and help me get rid of the same people that I helped put together to fight the Russians who are now fighting me. The movie Rambo speaks on that. Like, real talk, think about it. Russia had went into Afghanistan to try to take it over, and they lost. The United States gave the Afghanis money to help them fight, and also went over there to help them fight. Osama bin Laden comes up, he's like, look, I'm gonna talk to my government. I'm gonna tell them what's going down. I got an army. We can fight our own war. We don't need the United States help. So what the people in Afghanistan did? No, we don't need you. We can call we gonna get the United States to help us out. That's where the Taliban come up at. He had a whole army, put them together, and used them to fight the United States military. And then on top of that, he was already a CIA agent.
Yep.
And I'm not making this up. This stuff is online. You can look this up. This is nothing that YouTube should be able to block you or ban you from. This is stuff that has already been proven years ago.
And this is post 9/11. This is post 9/11 information.
Exactly. This is before they actually caught him and supposedly killed him.
Yep.
And people still think that 9/11 happened because some Muslims want to take over a plane, crash into a building, not realizing that these dudes was down in Florida flying prop planes. The mechanics and everything in those planes compared to a 747 or whatever type plane they were flying is a lot different. It's like driving. It's like going from driving a old school car, an old school Cadillac that with the stick shift that you got to pull down like a truck, to driving the Cadillac that's out now with the stick shift that you turn like a knob. Like, it's still the same basic setup, but it's not the same setup. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Which I do remember seeing the building. I was in high school. I do remember seeing the building blowing up before the plane even hit it.
Dude.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a lot of shit about that shit that don't make no sense, and the fact that they took like an insurance policy out on the towers a couple months before, they moved all the gold out like a week before. You know, it's a lot of shit. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't put nothing past the American government. And guess what? Y'all remember that plane that disappeared? That Malaysian plane that disappeared?
Yeah, the one that disappeared that they was trying to find the black box too.
Yeah, it was 4 people on that plane that well, let me say it like this. There was 5 people who were owners of this corporation together. 4 of them were on that plane. Guess who the surviving owner was?
I can't even tell you.
A corporation owned by none other than George W. Bush. So they this company owned a lot of patents. They were splitting it 5 ways. So now, after those other 4 died, the George W. Bush and his corporation own 100% of these patents, and it's worth billions of dollars. The same motherfucker who did the 9/11 bullshit.
Yo, and then on top of that, I heard it was a few scientists and stuff on the plane that was coming up with some stuff to help some people out. Because I was about to say, I heard it was at least 6 to 8 people that was of very high importance on that plane that came up missing. And then there's an island where the plane came up missing. There's an island that's not too far away from where the plane came up missing, where all the people on that island got pushed off of, and there's a long runway on it. You can find it on Google Maps. I don't even remember the name of it. But I looked it up at the time that it happened, when people was actually bringing the information out. Like, yo, there's an island not too far away from where this plane went down at. The inhabitants of that island, like the natural native people, they got taken off of that island, and it was articles up about that.
Well, I wanna bring it back to the topic of the show, because
I was about to
the first misconception, because we went over all this. If you just tuning in, you might want to rewind. We went over the difference between atheism versus agnosticism, but I want to add some stuff to this. The first misconception, that atheists have no morals. So atheism and the atheist, the morality that an atheist has is actually superior to the morality of a believer, because an atheist actually gives you a reason for why they have morality, while a believer simply says, well, it says so in my book. So a believer says, I'm not gonna rape little girls because my book says so. An atheist is because it's harmful and the little girl didn't consent, and she's not even of age to consent. You see the difference? A believer does it because his book says so. An atheist does it because of a real reason that they can explain to you. So which one of those is real morality? The atheist has morality, the theist does not. So we got this conception that atheists are somehow evil people that have no morals. We got to let that shit go. That shit is dead. It's dead as a motherfucking doorknob. And the stats on the screen prove that what I'm saying. Just in case you're just not tuning in, it says that 3.1% of the population of the United States identify as atheists, while 5% identify agnostic. And at the same time, only 0.7% of the prison population identifies atheists. Which, if it was atheists, even if it was on the even playing field, if atheists and believers committed crimes at the same rate, we would see 3% of atheists in the prison system. They don't even have a representation that's high as the popular representation in the population. So if there's only 1% or less than 1% of atheists, when there's 3% of atheists in the population, and you analyze the data, what that means, people, is that atheists commit significantly less crimes than believers, because they are underrepresented in the prison population. So this conception that atheists have no morals got to go. And I think I've spoken enough for the night, so I'm gonna let y'all close out. Anything y'all want to add on? Now is y'all time.
Shoot, man, I'm sorry I showed up late, man. I had to go handle some business, man. But I hate that I missed the show, man. But I know tomorrow. Yeah, tune in for tomorrow. We're gonna get back to the Bible Comedy Hour with episode 4. This was a good build, man. You know what I'm saying? I hope that believers would see this video and understand that their morality is objective, not subjective. With atheism, our morality is subjective, because we know it's in our best interest not to harm people, because we're actually using our human empathy. They're using their man-made book. We use human empathy. They're using a man-made book for their morality. So I feel like this: if I'm gonna be a good person because I know it's in my best interest, I'm not gonna be a good person because somebody told me to, or because it's subjective. It's come from a supreme authority. You know what I'm saying? If somebody got to tell you to be good, then basically your religion has no moral compass at all.
No religion.
No religion has. Yeah, I don't think.
I was hoping Ultimate Truth got on. My bad. I was just saying. I was hoping Ultimate Truth was gonna stay up here and come on. The book right.
Ultimate Truth is allergic to facts. So when he started that I had some facts, he got up out of here.
Yeah, he had to go to bed.
He's allergic to facts.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, I did want to ask Mark some questions at one time. You had him on, cause y'all see, I be giving him pure D hell in the comment section. I think me and Jay was giving that dude headaches, and the only thing his comeback was y'all going to hell. Like, you going to hell too, cause you in here talking to us. I see you down there.
It's curiosity, man. He know his beliefs are basically being challenged because he know, like, if this belief system was true, then you don't need to. If what Dr. Ben say? Dr. Ben say if anything is true, you don't need to believe it because the fact speaks for itself.
And the facts don't need to be defended like that either.
They're defended. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, don't need to be. Yeah, Amos Wilson. I'm sorry, Amos Wilson said anything is true, you don't need to defend it. The truth speaks for itself. The fact speaks for itself. So that's why they say, well, do you believe in God? I mean, what's belief? You know what I'm saying?
And belief can be interchangeable too.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It was still funny when I had an extremely religious dude tell me God told him to talk to me, and you don't even know me like that.
Mm-hmm. Why is God talking to you about me?
Why is God using you to talk to me?
Why he ain't just talk to you directly?
Hey, y'all remember back in the day, shit, when you had a crush on a girl and you go tell your homeboy, hey man, go tell her I like her. Same bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, I got a crush on some people right now.
Yeah.
And that was the crazy part.
Yeah, writing a letter, you know what I'm saying? Don't get it started.
Nah, y'all don't remember this though. Do you like me? Circle one, yes or no?
Yeah, exactly.
Or or check the box or the smiley face. Bro, what you know about that? What you know about that?
Oh man.
Yo,
turn around. Wait till the teacher turn around, write something on the chalkboard. Then you pass
bro. I kept my notes that I got from God. I kept them shits for like 10 years, bro. And them shits used to mean so much to me. I used like every now and then I'd be cleaning up my room and I find them. I'm like, oh shit, the notes. I go back and read them. Man, this shit bring back memories. I wonder if they exist somewhere. I didn't throw them away. They somewhere.
Damn.
Yo, let me tell you what made Buddy mad and made him stop talking to me.
Who?
I said, you know, the dude, this random ass dude, this was like years ago. It was just some random dude that decided to talk to me about it, and I started making him mad. This is before I got as deep as what I am now. I said, do you realize the devil is as powerful as God is? Buddy's whole face changed, like literally it changed. He went from having like this jolly, happy-go-lucky look to like, you full of shit type look, like, fuck what you talking about. I'm like, think about it. I said, if God can do all of this, why the devil can't do it? I said, because y'all sit up here and tell us that the devil can, in a sense, influence you. Did God not influence people as well? So they both got the same amount of power in a sense. If you look at it like that, he's like,
I think they're the same person.
Yo, he was like, no, the devil's not as powerful as God. I said, yes, he is. Look at it. Look at what he's physically capable of doing to people. When people do something wrong, the devil made me do it. Like, I'm pretty sure y'all heard that a lot.
I think, I heard that all the time. I heard, I think all that shit is a red herring, though. You know what I'm saying? Because the people who make this religion, first of all, we got to understand that this ain't like they sat down one day, like writing a movie script, and they just like, okay, first we're going to make the story say this, first we're going, no, this was put together over thousands of years, and they had to revise it and re-edit this shit, and they say, okay, this shit ain't working, we got to change it, we got to make this different, and now you looking at it 6,000 years later, after they done got all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, and it looked like a coherent story. But man, when you study this shit, bro, it wasn't always the narrative that they put out. That's why I made that video, What is Christianity? And it explained it didn't even always have a concept of the devil. It didn't always have a concept of Satan. That's not even a part of the original religion. So how can these people believe that this shit is real when they making this shit up as they go along? That shit come from Zoroastrianism, this whole idea of there being a conflict between good and evil. So if you believe that, you really are Zoroastrian, and you need to go study Zoroastrianism, because that's where Christianity got that from, just like they got all the other things of Christianity from other religions. But Christianity is the longest con that's been going on in the history of cons, and it's still going on our people. Black Hayes, you came back in the room, bro. You got another comment or question?
Oh no, I ain't had nothing. I just dropped off because I was doing something.
Oh, okay.
Yo, another thing that make it as powerful as it is the Vatican, dude.
The
Vatican has so much power. There's people that mess with the Vatican that run stuff, like billionaires in this aspect of my hypothesis, that have a lot of this stuff going on the way that it's going on. Just like with the situation that's going on in Palestine and Israel right now. Man, it's so many people that's in the United States saying they mad at what's going on over there. But if you look at what they doing, they kicking people out of their homes because they say this is God's land. If it's God's land, why did you allow the people into the country to begin with? Because you morally felt bad for them for the stuff that they were going through, so you went and looked out for them, and now you mad and want to kick them out of their home?
Yeah, make it make sense.
Come on, man.
Make it make sense.
Exactly. And the funny thing about it, the United States and Israel believe in the same type of God, just not in the same way.
I don't think they, like, when you say the United States and they believe, I think the majority of the people in the United States believe, but I don't think the people who control this country, they don't believe this shit, man. Ain't no fucking way you can have "in God we trust" on the money and then go and wage war when your God said thou shalt not kill. So clearly you don't really believe this shit if you contradicting your own legislation or your own laws in the Bible by going out and waging war, because you're killing people. The Bible don't say thou shalt not kill unless you at war. It say thou shalt not kill. So if you really believe that shit, and then God you really trust, like you say on the money, you wouldn't be having no fucking war. You wouldn't have no death penalty and all that shit. They don't believe this shit, man.
And that's right along with what you were saying. The people who run the country don't believe in it, but the people, the citizens, I would say, they believe in it.
Right. And
they believe in it wholeheartedly.
And that's the way they want it. And that's the way that it was intended to be. That's what religion is for. Okay, you got government and you got religion. They both got the same job, to control the people. Buy out. But because government, when government fails, or what government can't do, government can't have, well, now they can, because they got technology. But way back when, they couldn't have eyes on you all the time. Now everybody got a TV or cell phone. Hell, we voluntarily tell them what we up to. We go live on Instagram and tell them, hey, I'm at Pop Dog. I'm on the beach. They know exactly where we at all the time. But back then, it was hard to keep eyes and tabs on people to know what they were doing and know that they weren't forming gangs and coalitions to overthrow the king. So they don't want you doing that stuff. So when the government can't be there, the religion tells you that God's there. God sees what you do. God knows what position you have sex in, and He don't want you doing it missionary. You know what I'm saying? This is what they tell you, because they want you to be controlled or believe so that you can act a certain way. So they tell you that you can't have sex before marriage and all this shit. They tell you
what they say. What a Ray Comfort. Hey, Kweli, have you ever looked at a woman with lust? You remember that guy? Looked at a woman with lust. You know, Almighty God says, if you ever look at a woman with lust, you have sinned in your heart.
Yo, you know,
like, how you think you got here? How you think you got here?
Yo, you know what make your statement so crazy?
What?
And it's not in a bad way. It's just in a realistic way. The way you just broke it down. Back then, they couldn't keep eyes on us.
Mm-hmm.
And religion was used to tell people that God is constantly watching you.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 6,000, let's just say 7,000 years into the future, our future. They can keep eyes on you and still use religion as a way to say that this is how God knows what you're doing. In a sense, government and religion are intertwined because they use technology to find out what you're doing. And even the Vatican got cameras all over the place. If you believe in God like that, you wouldn't have cameras. You wouldn't have a small army. You wouldn't have none of that because you know God got you. But yet and still, you got satellites. You got, not satellites, my fault. You got telescopes. You do have satellites, but not the ones that's in space. You got an actual gigantic satellite dish that you use to try to find stuff in space before anybody else find out about it, and then use the information that you find out to scare the people. Come on, man. Like, and then you use the religion from the Roman Catholic Church to branch off into all these smaller sects and have, like you said, all of them beefing against each other while at the same time using the government to help you push the agenda.
Mm-hmm. But see, now religion has multiple functions, and I'm sure it had multiple functions back then too. So it is a part of religion that is not sinister. It is just people trying to explain the universe and they come up with the wrong answer. But then when they realize that the people that believe this shit, they'll behave in certain ways. Or I can tell somebody like we were talking about earlier, God told me to tell you this. And if all I got to do is say God said it, and then he'll listen. But if I say I said it, he won't listen. So they realize this, okay, this belief in God can be used as a tool. So just like they use it now, or they used it during slavery, to say, okay, you don't worry about being a slave, just keep on being a slave because you're going to go to heaven if you obey thy master. So all that stuff is in there, so that they could teach that to the people, and it started working on their people, and they started using it on other people, and that's what the whole New Testament is about. They said, man, we can use this on more than just the Jews. We can use this on the neighboring Africa. So when the Romans got hold of the Romans got hold of Judaism, they conquered Israel after the Assyrians and the Babylonians. Then they conquered the Babylonians, and they got a hold of this religion. They seen how much it was working. They said, man, we got to get a piece of that. So the Romans, they came up with all these different versions of the Jewish religion that people weren't fucking with. And I think the third conception of it was the Jesus Christ that we know now. But first they tried to make Julius Caesar the Messiah. They weren't fucking with it. Nobody believed that Julius Caesar was the Messiah. And they made up another god, Serapis. They did that for the Egyptians. Then they made up this Jesus Christ character. And the Jesus Christ, in terms of Motown, he was a hit. Oh, he was a hit. He was spinning. People was fucking with Jesus because of the ideas, and they had got it. Like I said, they ain't just sitting in a room coming up with this in one day. They looking at what's happening over generations and saying, okay, we might have to tweak this doctrine. They have all these councils where they say, okay, we might need a trilogy of Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. They made that shit up 300 years after Christianity started. 300 years. Christianity was around. People was calling themselves Christians for 300 years, and they didn't have no concept of no Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, till they made that shit up. So get that through y'all Christian heads, that your religion is not some passed down revelation. It's man-made, and they making this shit up as they go along. And I guarantee you that it's gonna change again. Just like the Catholic Church had to say that evolution is true. And you ain't got to take my word for it. You go look it up. The Catholic Church now claims that evolution is true after denying it and persecuting people, burning them alive for saying that evolution was true. Now they saying that evolution is true.
Yo, Kweli, on top of that, when the councils came up, it was 9 of them. So let's just say it took them 10 years apiece to come up with this situation. That's what be irking me, that people be like, there's no council that came up with this. Yes, it is. The first one that I know of is the Council of Nicaea, and then it's another one called, I think, the Council of Constantine. And then it's like Chalcedon. Thank you. Then it's 7 other councils after that, and then on top of that, like maybe later on, like when, let's say, I forgot, like King Edward or something like that was ruling. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. They got tired of beefing with the barbarians and the Nordics so much. They started adopting their traditions just to get them to stop fighting. Think about it. I'm fighting you, Kweli and Kwame. I'm with the Roman Catholic Church. You're a Nordic tribe, and you're another Nordic tribe. Y'all keep coming into my land, raping and pillaging and taking and robbing and doing all types of stuff. I'm tired of y'all. We keep going to war for, like, let's just say a century. Like, okay, look, man, I'm tired of fighting y'all. What can we do to get y'all to convert? Y'all believe in all of your gods, Thor, Odin, Poseidon. Y'all believe in all of them. They're giving y'all the ability to go to war. I'm like, okay, look, how about y'all believe in this one God? We give y'all and some money to stop fighting us, and y'all come fight with us or fight for us to keep them other people off our neck. All right, bet. I shell out some money to you. I shell out some land to you. And now y'all fighting with me, and y'all have to be baptized to get all of this. And a lot of y'all get it done. Like the show Vikings. The show Vikings break down a lot of that. The dude that's in the show Vikings, I forgot his name. They break down how a lot of that happened. And it wasn't even on no religious stuff. It was just the Vikings got tired of the English coming over there messing with them. But at the same time, they had to go pillage and take stuff because where they lived at, it wasn't fruitful. They didn't have land like that, so they had to go from country to country to country, starting wars and taking their stuff and then bringing it back home so they could survive.
And who was that? Who was that had to do that?
It's a show called Vikings. I forgot the name of the dude.
I'm glad you said that because that's what I try to illustrate to the people about our European cohorts.
Yeah,
a long time ago, like people talk about white people as if they're inherently evil or whatever, and they're the devil or whatever. But you got to understand that this is not something that just started happening last week. You got to look back at the generation before this one, the generation before that one, the generation before that one, and keep going back if you want to understand what's going on now. And if you go back far enough, you get to a point where, just like DSA is saying, Europeans had plundered their resources, and they're already living in the area where resources are scarce. There's just a bunch of ice up there. So they had to travel south to look for resources. So when they saw this vast land of Africa and all these tribes so far spread out, in their mind, they're saying they ain't using this shit right. They savage. They just over here doing this. Man, we got all this stuff because they didn't have trees and all this shit. They had already chopped them down because wood back then was equivalent to fuel. That was how they kept warm, and it was fucking Europe. It was cold, so they used a lot of wood. So then they had to go get some more. Where did they go to get it from? The neighboring continents, Northern Africa and the Middle East. Thus, we see the expansion of all of these European countries like Great Britain, Spain, Portugal, and all these places that when they started colonizing other places because they had to. So now I propose that instead of asking the government for reparations, we really need to be asking England for reparations because they the motherfuckers who really started the Atlantic slave trade. So I think we're barking up the wrong tree when we're asking the American government for reparations, because it really wasn't, the American government wasn't around to 1776. Slavery started in 1619. So we need to be accusing the crime of slavery on the real starters of it, which would be the Queen Elizabeth. That bitch owe us $1 trillion. Let's get
her and the Arabs. Her and the Arabs.
Yes, sir.
Both of them. Because after they got tired of going to war, this is my hypothesis. After they got tired of going to war with each other, the Arabs was already dealing with each other. They was already in close proximity to each other. So of course you're gonna have certain parts of Africa heavily Muslim because they already been around each other for thousands of years. They already know how each other work.
In the breed, some niggas done tap, some Muslim niggas done tap some African women, some African niggas done tap. That's what happens. That's what happens.
Exactly. So then when the Arabs started kicking it with the British or the English or the Europeans, I should say, like, man, we know this group of people that's really spiritual. All we got to do is tap into that and goddamn get them to fall in line with it. And if they don't, all we got to do is just go ahead and knock them off. We already taking them as slaves. Y'all can go and do the same thing too. And then we keep it pushing. Because if you think about it, up until, I just say in our time frame, 2001, when the war actually popped off, who's fighting? The Christian country or Christian ideology in the country of the United States, fighting against some Muslims. And then at the same time, as you say, blame Queen Elizabeth, you can blame her, because if it wasn't for her getting all them criminals and kicking them out of England, putting them on them boats and sending them over here to the United States,
she actually sanctioned slavery as well. On top of that. Her, the King of France, and I want to say the King and Queen of Portugal, all three of them were in on it. Because where do you think Christopher Columbus came from? Spain. He didn't necessarily find so he was in on it. The answer to who is responsible, it lies in what the languages we speak in the Americas. We speak English because we got colonized by England. Then we go down to Puerto Rico, they speak Spanish because they got colonized by Spain. And they speak French because they got colonized by France. So that's who the fuck we need to be asking for reparations for, and that's who the fuck we got enslaved by. You know what I'm saying? The Americans, they just did it over for 400 years, but who started this shit and who sanctioned this shit was the Europeans. So that's why we ain't getting no fucking reparations, because we ain't asking the right person. You know what I'm saying?
And then on top of what you're saying, it does kind of that as far as going into getting at the Queen for it, because she sent them in the United. To me, the United States is another arm of Europe. It's not the same country per se, but if you think about it, the red, white, and blue flag with stars on it in the United States is a red, white, and blue flag in Europe. If you broke away from these people and you wasn't dealing with them like that, why is your flag representing the same colors as this country that you couldn't stand, that kicked you out because of how they teach it in school? Oh, they was being persecuted, so that's why they left. No, it was a bunch of criminals and thieves on these boats that came over here, then ended up finding a way to make money, which is capturing people and bringing them over here. And the Queen was cool with it, which is what started the 13 colonies, which is what started a lot of the presidents and people in council, which is akin to those same people, which is what you're saying, which is akin to those same people, which is why the United States is the way that it is. Exactly. And then they base it off of religion because we're all God's people, and they use the Holy Bible to put a lot of this information on people, which goes back to what you were saying, with people being enslaved. If you don't do what the earthly masters say, your heavenly father's going to be against you and you're going to hell. Damn, I'm already getting my ass whooped here. I don't want to die and get my ass whooped some more. So of course I'm going to take that ass whooping here just so I can die and have my soul at ease. Not realizing that might not be the God that you're supposed to be praying to. And then you
might not even be real.
Not just that, just speaking on it in a spiritual aspect, your ancestors didn't believe in this one God. Your ancestors believed in a multitude of gods. Let's just say 12. I'm just going to say 12. Our ancestors believed in, let's say, 12 gods. They didn't believe in this one and a son. And then Mark was killing me with, oh, I'm saved by the blood of the Son who came from the Father, so the blood of the Son is greater than the word of the Father? Like, all that ties in. Like, how does that work? You tell me this,
blood
but
magic.
You talk like
blood magic. That's what Christianity is, a religion based around blood magic.
And then they tell you in the book, don't use magic, don't use voodoo, or you'll go to hell. But you're based off of eating the flesh of a demigod and also drinking the blood of a demigod to be saved. How does that make any sense?
Your savior is a literal zombie.
Pretty much.
He came back from the dead. He just don't eat brains. But hey, man,
he just walks on water and all this other good stuff.
We're gonna go ahead and close out, man. You got anything you want to shout out? Any social media or anything?
Nah, man, I ain't got no social media. I did have a video that I sent to you in the chat. I mean, in the comment section of your live that I think you had on last night. Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes long, but it was speaking to something that I had told you a little while ago. You'll see why I said what I said about Africans being 100% human compared to everybody else on the planet. And before anybody get on Kweli and try to tell him he wrong for this, that, and the third, or try to come at me and say I'm wrong, this is an actual, I'll say a scientist because I don't know what exact field he's in. This is an actual scientist, and he's showing the genome breakdown of where this comes from. I'm not making this up. I didn't make it up. I found one of the videos that I have been trying to find for some months now, maybe even years now. Look it up and just ponder on it, because I wasn't saying it to make you upset or have you think that I'm trying to come off at you wrong, but just check it out, man, and just shoot me another message under that. I'll probably get it, and we can chat back and forth like that, man. Just go check that out. And if anybody else don't believe me, go to Kweli's last video. You'll probably see my name with the video that's posted that's speaking on this. Is a 3 minute and some change long video. But other than that, man, I'm out. Y'all be easy. Y'all take care, man.
All right, bro. I appreciate you calling in. I'm definitely gonna check out that video. And to everybody tuning in, I appreciate y'all for doing so. We go live every Sunday night around the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I want to encourage everybody to go to QueliKush.com, where you can find all of the posts that we post. We usually post every day, and we also post book recommendations. For example, the book of today. You already know. The book of today is in the live chat right now. You can get it on QueliKush.com. Brother Garfield reads Misinformation and Misconception of the Hebrew Israelites. Make sure y'all check that book out. Purchase that, support the brother, and it's a very good read. I got mine's coming on the way. So shout out to Brother Garfield, and peace and black power to the family. Oh yeah, we do put this show out as a podcast too, so you don't have to just watch it on YouTube when you're on the go. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. If you got the smart speaker, you can say, "Hey Alexa, play Atheist Church Live," and they will play us. So make sure you subscribe to our audio podcast and stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow night. Holla at you.